Hello and welcome to Cheeks Will Ride. Wait. It's not a Husqvarna ad, I promise. Today it's going to be Cheeks Will Talk because many of you have asked me why I chose the bikes I chose. So today I'm going to show you what I'm riding and why I chose them. When looking at bikes, I tend to lean towards the high performance option. Not because I'm trying to ride at the limit all the time, but because I never want to feel like the bike's the limiting factor or that I'm outgrowing it. One of the metrics I pay close attention to is power to weight ratio. It's not everything, but it's usually a good indicator of how capable that bike is going to be and how responsive it's going to feel. Power isn't everything, but I do like my bikes to have enough to scare me sometimes. When it comes to dirt and dual sport riding, I've always believed the bike should never feel overwhelmed in difficult situations, even if the rider does. If you've seen my Arizona single track video, you know I've put myself in some risky situations, and never have I thought this would be easier if I was on a lighter or more powerful bike. So this is my 2017 Husqvarna FE501. There's a reason the Husqvarna FE501 and its KTM and gas cousins have earned the nickname Alpha. It's because they sit at the top of the performance range in the category, very lightweight, serious power, and suspension that's built for terrain most of us will never attempt. This is the bike I take when I don't know what I'm going to get myself into. When the terrain difficulty is unknown, I can trust this bike to get me through whatever. I've even raced this bike. A few years ago, I rode straight from my driveway to a woods race, raced it, and rode home. I like the FE501 so much, I bought a second one to replace my first. My first was 2016. It was actually my first Austrian bike. The bike was great. I had no issues with it, but I hit some financial hard times and had to sell it. When it came time that I could get another dual sport, another FE501 was high on my list. I did look at other bikes, and my first choice was actually a Beta 500 RRS. And if that deal had gone down differently, I might be sitting next to a Beta right now. I found plenty of deals on CRF 450 RLs, but at the time they were known for fueling and ECU issues, and by the time you spent the money to fix it, well, you were in FE501 territory cost-wise. So this bike has a few mods. Seat concept seat for more comfort, some Tusk handguards, got an Oberon clutch slave cylinder. The factory ones are known for failure. This one failed on me twice before I put an Oberon slave cylinder on it. This has got the intake restriction removed. These come factory with a snorkel inside the intake for noise emissions. And once you rip that out, it wakes this bike up. Got a JD jetting piggyback tuner to give it some more fuel. FMF exhaust, just this Tusk luggage. Sick-ass racing fender kit and these steg pegs to help me hold on to the thing. Something that doesn't get talked about enough with these bikes is actually durability. A lot of people see high performance and assume fragile, but that hasn't been my experience. They absolutely do require proper maintenance, but they're not delicate machines. And it's not just me. There are riders putting massive mileage on this platform. This bike has almost 250 hours on it, and I've never even had the valve cover off of it. I read an article on ADV Pulse about a guy riding his around the world, and he didn't even open up the engine until 40,000 miles, and it wasn't even due to a failure. For me, that combination of performance and unexpected durability is a big part of why I come back to this platform again. This bike is incredible when the terrain gets technical, but it's not the bike I want to ride for hours on end. So when I need something that still feels high performance, but can cover a wider range of territory without feeling like a compromise, I hop on my Norden because it represents performance spread across a much wider range. So my first adventure bike was actually an Africa Twin, and I liked it. The mistake I made was riding my buddy's KTM 1090 ADVR, and while I didn't love the 1090, it helped me realize that the performance ceiling for an ADV bike is much higher than an Africa Twin. So I started shopping in the adventure category, and I wasn't looking for comfort first. I was looking for performance that didn't disappear just because the bike got bigger. So again, I began to look at power to weight ratio, and the performance choice in the middleweight ADV category was the KTM 890 ADVR. I was pretty close to buying one, even though I don't love the looks, and I definitely don't love orange. It was about that time that the Norden was announced. It had 90% of the performance, better looks, and even a few features the KTM didn't have. So I was one of those crazy people who put a deposit down before even seeing it in person. That was my 2022 Norden Standard that I rode for almost 25,000 miles in almost 3 years. I had no major issues out of it, but at the end of 24, I started feeling the urge to upgrade. So this is my 2024 Norden 901 Expedition. Yes, just like the FE501, I like the platform so much, I bought a second one. Compared to my 22, this has higher spec off-road suspension, more ground clearance, beefier skid plate, taller windscreen, heated grips, heated seat, and the Explorer pack is included. I've added the Rottweiler Pro intake, KTM handguards, and bar end mirrors using the Rottweiler mounts, and a luggage rack. That's about it. The closest performance competitor was the Ducati Desert X, but I demoed one a few times and I just didn't like it. The ergonomics weren't right for me, and while the engine was impressive up top, it didn't have the mid-range punch that the 901 has. I also looked at the Aprilia Touareg. I really like that bike, but it's not in the same power category as the 901. So the Tenere 700. Good bike, proven, durable, good value for money. I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna piss a lot of you guys off, but that bike puts me to sleep. Don't get me wrong, when the T7 concept was announced in 2016, I was throwing money at the screen. But by the time they hit the dealerships in 2020, I'd already bought the Africa Twin. I've ridden the Tenere 700 a few times, and it just does not excite me the way that my Norden does. Sure, the Tenere is 20 pounds lighter than this, but this has 50% more horsepower, and you can feel it. Also, the Tenere has that sort of top-heavy feeling, while the Norden has this low saddlebag style fuel tank that helps keep the center of gravity low. Another bike I looked at was the BMW F900 GS, but I just couldn't get one to demo and I couldn't find a deal on one. Speaking of deals, when it comes down to actually opening my wallet, I begin to look at performance per dollar. KTM's financial situation probably helped me find the killer deal on this bike, so a Desert X and an F900 GS were several $1,000s more. I've ridden several big GSs and I'm impressed every time I ride one, but I just can't justify the price. For example, for the retail price of a new BMW R1300 GS, you can buy both a Norden and an FE501. If you look at the used market, it's the same story. The price of a used R1250 GS, you can buy both of these bikes used. That means instead of one bike trying to cover everything, I have two high-performance machines. Another question I'm often asked is, if I could only choose one, which one would I keep? And I think it'd have to be the Norden, just because the Norden fits my riding style. It covers more of the riding type that I like to do, and you guys know I'm not a real dirt biker anyway. If you have any more questions, or if you want to tell me I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to chat with you. Hope to catch you on the next ride. Thanks.